Hello there. So the Boris Johnson government has hit the over 75s again. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. So the over 75s have just been hit with another whammy. First they came for their free TV licences, then they unlocked their pensions, then they came for their houses, and now they come for their health care. First it was with the decision to make them pay for a TV licence, when in the past they hadn't needed to. So they paid during their life to allow the over 75s before them not to pay. Then when it was their turn, no, says Boris, you now have to pay as well. Then they scrapped the triple lock on their pensions to stop them getting the rise they were due. Then they came for the houses for the less wealthy to pay for care fees, and now the government has given the green light for GPs to ignore the needs of the over 75s in order to get 15 quid or more for every prick they deliver as part of the precious rollout. By that move, the government and the medical profession in the UK has decided arbitrarily by age that people over 75, whether sick or not, are no longer worthy of a service that they helped, with their previous and current work and taxes, to set up in the first place. The over 75s will risk losing routine checks that might identify a problem that could lead to early and successful treatment. But it's actually wider than that. For the next 4 months, doctors can spend less time on monitoring people who have diabetes and heart problems, for example, as well as do fewer over 75s health checks and also stop performing minor surgery. But with the mounting waiting lists and the potentially 740,000 missed urgent cancer cases, then I cannot see how that 4-month period won't be extended, probably many, many times. And won't the stopping of those routine checks just add to the waiting list backlog problem? I do hope I'm wrong on all of that. Remember the 3 weeks to flatten the curve? I reckon the same concept applies here to these 4 months. So what have we done? Let's be honest, we're now starting to hardwire a system of sacrifice by withdrawal of services into the whole health equation. If it wasn't there already, think care homes. But I bet the Treasury has no plan to compensate the over 75s or anyone else affected for this removal of vital routine services. Routine services that they've already paid for when paying their taxes. No, I suspect those that don't get the call up to receive that treatment will still be paying for everyone else's. And there will also be an effect on preventative health measures for such things as smoking. And all this sacrifice by some is to make sure that government can start shifting as many of the 114 million McBoost doses it has just ordered for 2022 and 2023 into the arms of the over 18s. And that's on top of the over 100 million already ordered. And also bear in mind that a recent report from a government health agency called SPIMO, SPI-M-O, has said that this current health problem will continue to be a threat to health system function and require active management for at least the next 5 years. And it said that the continued planned rollout and swabbing are key to all of this. 5 years, at least 5 more Christmases. But that report was written on the 24th of November, just before Zero, Mick and Ron appeared on the scene. And Zero, Mick and Ron are said to be a very mild-mannered trio who get around a lot and meet lots of people. And maybe, just maybe, the outcome of meeting Zero, Mick and Ron might be more beneficial to the herd than the files of juice currently on offer. If that is the case, then the entire rollout and swabbing might become redundant. And if so, there may be a few unhappy bunnies hopping about out there, and warehouses full of juice-filled ampoules that no one wants, but that we forked out mega millions for. But it would also remove the requirement for GPs to prioritise the rollout over the routine needs of their patients, especially the over 75s, in return for a 15 quid per go payout. And that could prove to be a very cheap and potentially swift outcome. But do you think that would be allowed? Or will the powers that be try and prevent us getting together with Zero, Mick and Ron in the hope that a more edgy trio emerges to supplant them, to help push the call forward for the rollout and more swabbing? I'll leave you to decide on that one. Now, I've got a couple of snippets of news from across the pond, one about Joe Biden and one about his predecessor. You'll want to hear these. But before I get into that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks, Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those of you that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. So let's take a look at that Joe Biden story circulating the web. Now, when Joe Biden was elected as the US president, many, like myself, had the suspicion that at some stage during his term, Biden would step aside and let his running mate, Kamala Harris, take the reins. But now, just over a year after the election, and not even a year into his first term, it looks like Sleepy Joe might be looking for a way out for himself that ensures that Kamala Harris does not end up in the Oval Office. So what's Biden, the betrayer of Afghanistan, plotting now? Well, the next US presidential election is due to take place on the 4th of November 2024, and it's looking more and more likely that the Trumpster will be running for the Republicans once more. But the Democrats under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not doing well in the polls, with Joe Biden's approval in the doldrums at 40%, but Kamala Harris has an approval rating that commentators are calling unelectable at 28%. So with Joe Biden looking more and more bewildered as time goes on, and Kamala Harris being less electable than a sack full of rattlers, the talk is that the Democrat Party is looking for replacements. And the scuttlebutt is that might occur during this term, before the 2024 elections. And no wonder. How much longer can they keep wailing out a befuddled buffoon who makes statements from a teleprompter but reads out the hidden instructions? End quote. Or stumbles through a press statement before abruptly turning on his heels and refusing to answer questions because he says he's been ordered not to. I mean, how much longer can they keep this charade going? Another 6 months? Another year? And the midterm elections are getting close. Another farting or follicle sniffing incident could finish him. And don't get me going with the potential for him playing Alpha Betty Spaghetti with the nuclear codes on a cold winter's evening. And then you take a look at screeching Kamala Harris and the horrors really start, with the main reason being that people just don't seem to like her. Something that is a massive drag anchor when looking to succeed in politics. And it also turns out that many of her office staff are deserting her because they don't want to be tarnished as a Harris person. Not exactly a good look for a Veep who wants to take the final step up and become the next US president when no one wants to work for you. So the first could cause chaos in 6 months by staying in office, and the other would do it in 1 month just by taking over. No wonder the Democrat hierarchy needs someone a bit more serious right now. Someone who is prepared, got their face front and centre with the public, so can take on the Donald in 2024. Possibly. So the talk is that Biden will be replaced by the US Secretary of Transportation and former US Navy Lieutenant Senator Pete Buttigieg. And that Harris will be ousted in the process. Because if Biden resigns while she's still in office, she becomes president automatically. And get this, according to reports, Buttigieg was on Air Force Two, sat next to Kamala Harris, and when asked by the press about this, he refused to rule it out. But how they get rid of Harris first is the sticky part. So the rumour has it that Harris could first be nominated for the Supreme Court by Joe Biden under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution. Now, under US rules, you don't have to be a lawyer to sit on the Supreme Court. But I don't think any non-lawyer has ever done so. I might be wrong there. But Harris is a trained lawyer, and it is a life tenure. No more elections. That could be a very attractive proposition for her. Now, there are normally only 9 Supreme Court judges, but I gather this is not a red line, so it is possible for her to be sent there even though there are already 9 sitting judges. But one judge, Stephen Breyer, is 83, and there is speculation he could retire to make way anyway. And if Kamala Harris accepted and was elected by both houses, it would make her ineligible on the principle of the separation of powers to serve on the executive, i.e. remain as vice president or become president. If all that happened, Joe Biden could then nominate a new vice president and hope they got through a vote of approval in Congress. Route open for Biden to exit stage left without Kamala Harris taking over. Now, there's a huge chain of events there that could end up being derailed at any point. But for people in America to be talking about things like this shows that the Biden administration is extremely wobbly. In fact, more wobbly than a wobbly thing. And now to the Donald. Well, this next bit of news will come as a kick in the you-know-whats for the liberal lefties and make them splutter their tofu across the room. Because the former US president has managed to raise $1 billion for his new social media offering, the Trump Media and Technology Group, that is looking to set up a social media app called Truth Social. Now, whatever you think of him, it does show he has financial supporters. But $1 billion? Pah! The whole UK government spent 37 billion quid, or $49 billion, on test and trace and couldn't make that work. So what chance does Trump have? Well, we'll see. But he will be joining other tech entrepreneurs in the centre-right social media space, so there does seem to be a rather large appetite for that sort of offering. So what's your opinion on the treatment of our elderly? Please like and comment below.